Finance Authority. If anybody has joined us, if you could please just let us know. It looks like we do have a couple attendees, and we just want to make sure that, first of all, the audio and the visuals are coming through okay on your end. So if you would just let us know in either the questions box or the chat box at the right of your screen, that would be helpful. Oh, good. I'm hearing from Stephanie. Thank you, Stephanie. And you must be able to hear us okay then. And we'll just begin here momentarily. Oh, good. Stephen, thank you so much. He says all is good. So we will just go ahead and begin. I think we'll probably be pretty quick today. So again, this is Amber Lewis at the Iowa Finance Authority, and I'm here in the room with my colleague,
Josh McRoberts.
And actually, we have one of our reviewers here as well.
Mark Phillips from the Polk County Continuing Care Board.
Okay, and then as far as the audio on our webinar, let's see, typically we'll have everybody on mute just because we get feedback otherwise, but we could try to do it differently. We have a small webinar today. So let's see. I don't know if that, well, I don't know if you'll be able to introduce yourself. Maybe Josh is going to help us out here. Oh, okay. I'm going to unmute all of you. So if you would like to speak up and introduce yourselves and say hello at all, then we may be able to hear you.
If they have a microphone.
If you have a microphone. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and begin anyways. All right. Okay. Here's somebody. Thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it. What was that?
I just said this is Stephanie. Hello.
Great. Hi, Stephanie. Thank you. So we are very excited about our review team this year, and we really appreciate the contributions of the team. We think it's a really important part of our program. And we have several new reviewers this year, so that is terrific. So we'll begin here, and let's see. We will record the webinar, and we'll make the slides and the recording available later on for reference. So this is completely optional to attend this morning. It'll be available later as needed. And it'll be Josh and I, for the most part, presenting. Okay, and I'm going to turn it over to Josh. We're going to start with what is ESG, and then what is this ESG competition for, just for some good background information. Excuse me. And Josh will do those sections for us. So over to Josh.
Hey, good morning both of you. So what is the purpose of ESG? It's to assist people to quickly regain stability and permanent housing after experiencing a housing crisis and or homelessness, and we provided a link there for you to the HUD 1 CPD website with the direct link to the ESG page for more information if you'd like to read that. Some basic facts of ESG. It's a federal program of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, and it is they do formula grants to states and some metropolitan cities. There are different types of assistance in ESG, like street outreach, shelter, homelessness prevention, and rapid rehousing.
Okay.
In Iowa, there are 3 total federal grants which are typically made each year, 1 to the state, or the Iowa Finance Authority, 1 to Des Moines, and 1 to Sioux City. The Iowa Finance Authority is the agency responsible for Iowa's state allocation of funds and is the grantee, which means we are responsible for distributing and monitoring the use of funds. And we've provided a link there for you for more information on the Iowa ESG program.
Oh. Okay.
So what is this competition for? It is for people to apply to get money. The application period closes today at 4:30 p.m. The eligible applicants are units of general purpose local government, not public housing authorities, and private nonprofit agencies. It's a competitive application process. Only 1 application per agency is allowed. If they are a nonprofit agency, they must be recognized independently by the Iowa Secretary of State. And projects must serve clients that qualify as homeless or at risk of homelessness per HUD definitions that have been published. For the grant awards, the award period is calendar year, January 1 to December 31st of 2016. We'll have approximately $2.4 million available, and we anticipate making approximately 20 to 30 awards, with the maximum being $150,000 and the minimum of $30,000. But we expect to the average award to be $50,000 to $100,000. And I'm not going to read all through this, but as stated, ESG has an essential services component for unsheltered homeless persons, which can help connect persons with emergency shelter, housing, or critical services, etc. Also has a shelter component, which can also include essential services for clients like case management, child care, education services, and it can also include shelter operations for emergency shelters in which they can be reimbursed for maintenance, rent, security, equipment, etc. It can also be used to pay for hotel or motel vouchers if there is no emergency shelter space available. The homelessness prevention and or rapid rehousing component. Homelessness prevention helps keep someone from becoming homeless. And then there's rapid rehousing, which helps someone to quickly become rehoused if they are currently homeless. And we have links there at the bottom for both the homeless definition, it looks like, and more information for the at-risk of homeless definition. Continuing with homelessness prevention and rapid rehousing, there's a rental assistance component, and any amount of rent for a program participant is eligible to be paid for up to 24 months, though typically rental assistance is only for about 3 months. Housing relocation and stabilization services can be used for financial assistance costs, such as short and medium-term rental arrears, rental application fees, security deposits, etc., and also service costs for housing search and placement, housing stability case management, mediation, legal services, and credit repair.
Okay, we're going to go into who applied and for how much momentarily, but we'll stop just for a moment in case anybody has questions at this point. And feel free to speak up, and hopefully we'll be able to hear you, or you can write your questions as well in the question box or the chat box on the right side. And you can do that the entire throughout the entire webinar here. That's fine. Okay. All right. Seeing none so far, we will just go right ahead. Any questions, Mark, so far?
I think you're probably getting to a difference in dollar amount from last year to this year.
Almost the same.
Okay.
Yep. So we had, did it say 2.4 last year? I think we have 2.4 to 2.5 this year. Okay. And that depends on the final amount. We have one agency who's giving up funds from the current year, and we're waiting to hear back from them. We'll be able to re-grant those out. So almost the same amount. Okay. So, and then as far as how many awards we might make, that'll just depend on how many applications we receive and what.
Is that total dollar amount, has it been fluctuating at all over the last 10 years or not?
Yeah, it has. It's changed a lot. The program underwent a complete sort of rewrite of the rules federally in 2012. And for those of you on the webinar, if you didn't quite hear Mark's question, he was asking about kind of the recent history of ESG as far as any funding fluctuations or changes. And so in 2012, a complete rewrite of the rules and quite a bit of additional money. And an expansion. It used to be really more just about shelter, and now it's about the rapid rehousing is a really big component from HUD, and homelessness prevention, a smaller component that they don't always really like, but it's eligible, and then more specifically, street outreach is allowed. And so a bit more money. So the 2.4, 2.5 is probably going to be fairly steady, is my guess for Iowa, at least for the next couple years annually. So and then the entitlement cities get a little more. I don't know offhand. Do you know how much Des Moines gets for ESG offhand?
I can't remember.
Yeah. Soon you'll know all of that. That's okay. So ESG, or Des Moines gets their own ESG allocation in addition, and Sioux City also gets a pretty small ESG allocation of probably only 80 or 90,000, maybe 100,000. So the main allocation is for the state of Iowa for ESG. So, excuse me. Okay. So as far as who applied, we don't know exactly yet because, of course, competition deadline is 4:30 today. And that means that we'll get lots of applications at 4:25. As of this morning, we had 19 that were completed and submitted, but it really is true that people do wait until the last day, whether they're waiting for a final review from somebody else or, waiting on some final piece of it. So we do anticipate we'll get several more this afternoon. So as soon as we do know those details, we'll send those out to everybody. And really at 4:30, the system opens for reviewers, and the system, it's an automated, online system, so it locks down at 4:30 for applicants and then opens up for reviewers. So, so reviews can begin at any time after this afternoon. So we'll get into that in a moment, though. Comparison to last year, so let's see, which I guess was sort of Mark's question here a moment ago. I didn't realize either. We were jumping right into that. Okay, so awards from last year, of course, supported the current 2015 calendar year. And we had 36 applications that were submitted, and 28 awards were made. So relatively competitive there. We had 8 agencies that were not awarded funds. So I'm sure for those 8 agencies, it felt very competitive and obviously disappointed. But at least we're able to make awards for a pretty decent percentage of those that apply. And so 2.5 million total last year approximately. And the range of awards, the high was 150 last year, which is the maximum application limit this year also, so we would anticipate that again likely. And the low last year was 31,500 for one agency that received that. And then the average last year turned out to be 91,000 per award. Okay, how does the application system work? So as I mentioned, it is all online, both for applicants and for the review process. And so we have these sections. We have the applicant profile, which is just kind of about the applicant, about the agency applying. And we have project design and competition priorities, and that's basically about the project that they're submitting a request for, and then how well it fits in with some designated competition priorities that we've laid out. And the next section is experience and capacity. That's just kind of about the agency and their history. And the next one is community partnerships and need, and that's more about how does the agency work with the other community agencies in their area, and what's the need for the services they're proposing. And the next section is performance. That's about kind of outcomes. How well does the project meet its stated goals? The next section is budget and grants management, and typically ISA staff will review that section because we use history that we have as far as, if they've received grants before from us, what is their history of grants management and capability of managing this federal grant, and how well does their budget fit in or align with ESG requirements. So ISA will review that section, and that section's worth fewer points. And then the final section is the exhibit section, where they upload various documents. So as you can see there are four main scored sections are reviewed by our external review team. Okay, description of scored sections, which is, I guess I already went into that just a little. The regular sections are worth a total of 100 points, and then there's 12 what we kind of call bonus points, which is those are from the competition priorities, and so that leads to a total of 112 points on the application overall. So it is possible to score higher than 100 here. So for the project design and competition priorities, that's the project design part itself is worth 21 points, and then the 12 bonus points come in here with the priorities. And that's just about how is the project designed, what best practices are utilized, how does someone access services, and then how does the project meet the designated priorities. And the priorities we've set out for this competition are services for veterans, services for families with children or unaccompanied youth, services for the literally homeless, and then rural services. And those are always laid out well in advance of the competition for public comments. And so we do receive comment on the various priorities, and those are kind of in line with what we see as the federal priorities for these funds as well. And then the next section, experience and capacity, as I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, that's about the actual agency offering services, things like what's their fundraising capability or history, what's the staffing and training for their staff, what's their history of grants management, of financial management, what does their board oversight look like, all those things that lead to a strong agency that's likely to be able to manage the grant well. And that's for 22 points. And community partnerships and need, that's again about how the agency is participating in community planning within their area. And what are the kind of important partnerships for the proposed project. And that's 21 points. And then the next section, performance, that's 22 points. And what is the agency or project's record of performance outcomes? That also pulls in data quality and timeliness of data entry as well. And then the budget and grants management, that's the one that's scored internally here at IFA, and that one is 14 points. Okay, moving to the next one. HAP system overview, the Homeless Assistance Program, that's the name of the online system that we use for the applications. And so it's familiar to applicants at this point if they've applied before. We've probably used it for about 4 years for this program and the related Shelter Assistance Fund program. That's a different grant program that comes into play here soon. The competition opens soon for that. And it supports some similar kind of things. Agencies just can't receive both grants for the same time period. But for agencies that aren't funded through ESG or don't apply, then they have the option to apply for the Shelter Assistance Fund if they're offering shelter. So often we'll have agencies apply for both. So many agencies know our system pretty well, and it seems to work decently well for applicants. And then for the review process, of course, since it's online, that makes it kind of convenient to do at any time, as long as you have access to the internet wherever you are. And so here's a link to access the system. That link is also available from our Iowa Finance Authority website, and there's some directions there on how to find that. And if you're on that home page, well, I'll send out these slides to everybody, so then you'll have this direct link. I'll probably put it in the email as well. So hopefully you won't have any trouble at all knowing exactly where to go. Let's see, we'll go to the next slide. And so the first thing you kind of want to do to get in is you need to set up a HAP system account. And so reviewers actually set up an account in the same way that applicants set up an account, just lets you into the system. And so there's a link on our webpage which contains instructions to create an account, and we'll go ahead and follow up by email with those instructions as well, so you know exactly what to do. It's a pretty simple process. And if you happen to have reviewed with us before or have an account with IFA for some other programs, then you may be able to just log in with that same username and password, and that's fine. Once you have set up your account, the system won't recognize you as a reviewer. It'll think that you're just an applicant until you let us know, and then we'll go in there and we'll change your status to reviewer. And so then you can see all the other applications that are open right now. So you just need to email or call one of us to let us know once you've done that. And actually, I'm going to be out of the office next week, so it's going to be Josh next week, and he can help you with all that stuff. Okay, here is our review team as of yet. I'm still seeking maybe 1 or 2 others, so we'll see. Hoping to get someone from our IFA Board of Directors. That always works well since they make the final award determinations based on the recommendations of our team. So waiting on that, but here's our team so far. We have Stephen Benny. Stephen, I hope I pronounced your last name right. From the Iowa Economic Development Authority, also the liaison to the Iowa Council on Homelessness, which it looks like I missed putting here on the slide. But thank you to Stephen. He's a new reviewer, and he's getting married really soon. So we're hoping he can join our final reviewer meeting, but he's got a lot going on. So hopefully we appreciate that, Stephen. Julie Bergerson is from the Iowa Department on Aging and also an agency liaison for the Iowa Council on Homelessness. a new reviewer. Julie Bockenstadt is also a member of the Iowa Council on Homelessness, was until recently with Humility of Mary Shelter and Housing in Davenport, and is now doing some work with the University of Iowa. Julie Eberbach is with the Institute for Community Alliances, and they're the Homeless Management Information System liaison for, or lead agency for the entire state. And Barb Michaels has reviewed with us before, so thanks to Barb for coming back to do that again. She's with the Fort Dodge, she's the director of the Fort Dodge Housing Agency. And Stephanie is on the phone. Stephanie Munsterman Robinson is from Cedar Valley Habitat for Humanity and also a member of the Iowa Council on Homelessness. And Mark Phillips is with the Polk County Continuum of Care Board. First day was? Yesterday. Really glad to have him as well. So, and then again, we may have just one or two others, but here is our team. And then reviewer sections. I didn't actually put these kind of reviewer assignments in yet because they are open somewhat. So for those of you who are on the webinar today, you get to tell us what you'd like to do based on what you've heard so far. And if you're not sure, we can certainly just tell you what we think would work well or assign you to one. That's fine. I kind of have my eye on a couple people for the performance section. I think Julie Eberbach would be great for that with her work with the Institute. And then maybe also thinking Julie Bockenstadt has some really good experience that would be really relevant for the for the performance section. But that could be flexible. And then for the other sections, it really is pretty open. So maybe the reviewers who are on our webinar today you can think about that and let us know either today or either during the webinar or after. That's okay. So Stephanie and Stephen, if you want to drop us a note and tell us in the question box or the chat box there on the right what you prefer. If you already know, that would work just fine. So okay, we'll go on. Conflict of interest. So of course we don't like conflict of interest, and we have some federal rules about that. So we try to be careful of that. And so that's that long paragraph. That's actually the language about from the ESG regulation. That's what we have to follow. So we won't read through that all right now, but probably pretty self-explanatory what that's about. You don't want to be reviewing applications that you have some connection to or would benefit in some way if an agency received an award. So just let us know if you have a conflict of interest with any application, and then we'll arrange for an alternate review of that application or those applications. And if you're not sure, let us know as well. So we have a conflict of interest form that we will send out by email, and once we have all the applications, once we know what all of them are, that'll be a lot easier to respond to that since you may not know yet if you have a conflict of interest. So. And you just want to submit a signed form to us here at IFA. Okay, next topic here, scoring application. So the applicant profile, that contains a brief overview of the project, which may be helpful for context. So the way it works is that, and this was in the kind of introductory email also, the way our system, the way we've laid it out is every reviewer reviews every application, but only in one particular section. So, and we do that to try to be as consistent as possible in the scoring, because every reviewer scores a little differently. Some are, some are much more generous and lenient, and some are just a little more stingy, in Mark's word. So that's what we do there. It can be a little bit hard to get an overall sense of the project when you're only reviewing one section, and so you're welcome to take a look through the other sections if that helps provide some context, or again, an applicant profile, just some kind of brief information about who this applicant is that can help also. So you want to be aware of the total points available for each question, because they are all different. And so each question will say in parentheses after the question how many points they are worth. So just want to be really conscious of that, I suppose, as you're going through. And so things to consider is the answer complete, clear, specific, citing evidence where applicable, compelling. Sometimes we run into questions that where it's not totally straightforward, I guess, and if you don't have a lot of background with the kind of topic that's being asked, you might not be totally sure what's a good answer versus what's not as strong of an answer. So we've sometimes put out brief scoring guides, for our reviewers, which we'll probably do as well. But let us know if there's any question in your section where you just think, I'm just not quite sure how to even review this or how to assign points, and just let us know. We'll be happy to talk through it with you. And so the scores and comments will be public records available to applicants. We don't generally post all the applications and scores online for everybody, but certainly to the applicant, it's available. So they can go in and see, what was their score in a particular section. I don't think they can see individual question scores. So it's more about the section overall, that they'll see, they got an 18 out of 21 points on, a particular section. And then it's very, very helpful to applicants. They ask us all the time if they can see the comments from each section. So it doesn't have to be, really extensive, or, don't have to use any fancy words, but, just some kind of brief notes of, why you scored it, what you did, or if you took points away in a section. Really, really, really helpful to applicants. And so at the final reviewer meeting, that's where the team will discuss the scores and comments. And up until that meeting, we kind of look at the scores as preliminary scores. And the purpose of that meeting is to be able to make adjustments as appropriate. Maybe if you had a big difference in your score with another person scoring your section, and so we'll focus on those sections. And then, maybe it's that you just misread something, or missed something, or accidentally overlooked a question, or whatever it is. The purpose of that final review meeting is to make sure we've identified all of that, and so certainly we expect scores to adjust a little bit at that meeting, and that's okay. Okay, I think we made it through most of those topics there. We'll move on to schedules. As we've noted before, the competition closes today at 4:30, and the review process opens then. And so you want to review at any time through Friday, August 7th. And once you've completed your reviews, just email Josh or Amber or me. And so I think our emails will be at the end of this PowerPoint as well. Just let us know when you're done, or if you have questions at any time. And then the in-person meeting on August 12th. So that is Wednesday, August 12th, 9:30 to 3 p.m. Or I think usually we finish earlier than 3. So we will see how things go. But excuse me, the details of that meeting, the location is at our office here at the Iowa Finance Authority at 2015 Grand Avenue in Des Moines. And free parking is available on site. I think almost all our reviewers have been here before, so you'll be familiar with our location. Parking should be available, or in the summer here at IFA, there's also parking across the street at Central Campus on those days. So a lunch will be provided that day, and we typically do lunches from in the bag. That works out pretty well. There's a choice of sandwich. It's a turkey, ham, roast beef, vegetarian, Pauline's ham salad, or peanut butter and grape jelly. Just want to let us know what your preference there is, and you can email Josh at josh.mcroberts@iowa.gov with your preference. And then the lunches will also come with apples, chips, and a brownie. So important there. Mileage costs. Some of you are coming in from a little ways away, and so we're happy to reimburse at the state of Iowa rate of 39 cents per mile. And so to do that, it just will require your Social Security number if you're not in our system yet, address, and the number of miles traveled. And we'll have travel reimbursement forms available that day. And Josh is our travel reimbursement expert, and so he can help you arrange that. And then the format of that meeting, it'll be, every person will have access to a laptop during that meeting so that we can actually get into the system and see, kind of navigate through, and you can review. If you can't quite remember, why did I score that section the way I did, you can actually get back into an application and review the answers or review your comments. And so we'll have laptops available, but if you have a laptop that you like to work on, or a tablet and you want to bring it, that's fine as well, and you'll be able to get online with that also. And so we'll review each application individually, and we'll take 5 to 10 minutes or so for each application. We'll compare the scores and comments, and as I said earlier, we'll adjust the scores if necessary. And then at the end of this meeting, the goal is to be able, for the review team to be able to make funding recommendations, which then go to the IFA Board of Directors. Our next slide. And so our IFA board does have the final authority for making awards. Typically, they are happy with the process that we follow, and typically they do authorize the awards that are recommended by the review team. I don't think I've seen a time when they have not authorized the awards. So they do take those seriously, and they appreciate the contributions of the review team, but it is their prerogative for the final awards. The board meeting is scheduled for September 9th or 10th, so I think we'll make it during the Housing Iowa conference. So I think we'll make awards just the day after that on Friday. I think the September 11th is a Friday. That's when we are scheduled to actually announce awards. And let's see, navigating the system for scoring. In a moment here, we'll actually check out the system. So you're going to log in following the directions that we'll send out, and the applications are going to be listed on the main page. Let's see, some of this stuff here on this slide we'll actually just see. I'm just going to read through real quick and make sure I don't miss anything. Okay, just a quick note about the review status. Once we've changed your status, once you have your account and we've changed your status to reviewer, that'll enable you to get into the system and see and do the scoring, but you won't actually be able to change application answers. You don't need to worry about accidentally, deleting something or changing something. That shouldn't happen. If you find you are able to do that, let us know, because the system's not supposed to be set up like that. So I'm going to skip the rest here, and we'll actually just see how it works in a moment here. Okay, there we go. And so you can click this link, and just because we have a little bit different route into it, as IFA staff, I'm going to navigate in a little bit different way. But this is where you get to if you click on that link externally. And so this is where you set up your account. And so you'd follow this link here. It says click here to request an account if you don't have one. And then once you do have your account, use your username and password to log in. Once you did log in, it would bring you to something that looks about like this. Or you might have to, if you don't see any applications down here when you first log in, you might have to play with the drop-down boxes here just a bit and make sure you click on, you can click here on all applications if for some reason they're not all showing. Well, now we get 893. You won't see that many, but that's just internally, that's where we are. But so right now, let's see. I think we'll do open. I think that'll get us. Oh no, that's 91. That's not it either. Submitted. Well, that's, we'll do over here on application type. We'll start there. 2016 Iowa Emergency Solutions Grant, and here we have 23. So just in the last hour or so, we've had 4 more applicants submit. So we're up to 23. This is who has submitted so far. And so the way the system works out well is over here is where you can actually view the application to check it out and start your reviews. And so you can just left click normal, that'll open up and that'll work just fine. I kind of prefer to right click there and open it up in a new tab, because then when I'm done I can close it out and go back to the main screen, and I don't have to resort or anything like that. So just a little tip there. Either way works just fine, but that's what I like to do. So if you right click and open in a new tab, then you go to that new tab, and here you are. Here's what the application looks like. And let's see, here are the different different sections that we've talked about. Excuse me. You'll see a couple other sections that we didn't talk about. Competition information, that's just about the competition itself. So you can review that. A lot of it we've already talked about here is just kind of introductory information about ESG and this competition. And there's nothing to review here, nothing to score. Let's see, the applicant profile, that's again just about the agency and the project, but nothing to score there. And then down here on the bottom, the exhibit section, sometimes an applicant will refer to the exhibits in their narrative response. You can go there and find something there. And then the error log, you don't need to pay any attention to that. That just helps the applicants track what they've completed. So let's see. So if you were assigned the program design section to score, you would click on that. And this is what it'll look like. So you have question 1 here, and then the scoring box is after the question. And so that tells you a couple places here. It tells you how much the question is worth. It's worth 3 points here, and then here again 3 points here. So one thing to note, you can do half points or quarter points or whatever you like. 3 points is not a lot, so there's not a lot of room for variation. So, versus an adequate answer, or, more than adequate, excellent, etc. So you can put a 2.5 or 2.7. You can get very detailed here if you like. And one thing to keep in mind, we did ask applicants this year to kind of keep their answers not too long. Sometimes we would have applicants write, pages and pages, and that gets difficult to score and difficult to score, especially between agencies that don't write as much but maybe have good answers nevertheless.
Do we know, maybe it's not that important, but do we know if maybe they've been funded before? Do you want us to look at that holistically or not?
So question from Mark, and I don't know how good the audio here is picking that up, but Mark was asking about if an agency has a history of receiving ESG funding. And so they probably will talk about that if you're in especially this section where it says provide a brief history of your program. They might talk about that. In the experience and capacity, that would be another section where they might talk about the history of the agency. And then let's see, there is a particular section, I think it's in the grants management section, that gets more into that specifically. And that's what IFA scores based on kind of their history of grants with us. And let's see. So there's a real particular question here. You're certainly welcome to look at that, especially maybe if you're doing the experience and capacity section, or if it ties in some way to another response, you can certainly view that and check that out for a general sense of where they are. I think that's the main section where the information is on that. And so can you just go through here? The longest section is the program design and competition priorities, because we pull in those 12 extra bonus points into this section. So it is kind of long for one or two reviewers to do this. We've kind of thought about separating out the competition priorities and having different reviewers do those, but haven't quite determined that. It sort of depends on how many reviewers we have here in the last day or two. So this could be, if you're assigned to this section and it's both, that could be kind of a long one. But hopefully the applicant or the response length guideline will help so that they're not too overwhelming. And then if you're in the experience and capacity section, that's about the mission and history of the agency. It's about the fundraising. It's about the qualifications of key staff, the percentage turnover, training. That goes on. If you do want to enter comments, let's see. So I think when our reviewers go in, because when I go in, the way it looks for me is just slightly different than for reviewers. There should be a comment box. Josh, that's right, isn't it? There will be a comment box when the reviewers go in. So what you would see, in order to enter your comments, you would see a box here at the bottom. I'll double check that. I'm not sure exactly why it's not coming up for me, but I think it should for reviewers. You can enter all your comments for that section at the bottom. And when you're done, just want to make doubly sure that that you didn't skip over any questions. That would obviously throw off the point. And then you can go up here. Yeah, it looks a little different for me. Clearly, I don't have exact reviewer status. I don't know what my status is at the moment and the way I've accessed it. But you would have a button that's a save button right here. And so that would enable you to save. You want to make sure to save your scores. And or there's probably going to be a save button and a save and exit button.
And it calculates your score.
Yeah. Yep, and it calculates your score. Actually, it could also be because the competition's still open. Maybe that's why.
I heard in a comment for someone this morning who called.
Okay. Okay. We'll double check how that is. Let us know if you see something funny, if you're not seeing that save button, but we've never had any problem with that before. I think it's just the way we're accessing it right now. Okay, community partnerships and need, that's the next one. And hopefully pretty self-explanatory, but again, if you have any questions as you're reviewing it, just let us know. And then performance. And for this one, there are actual reports that they upload that will be in the exhibit section. So to pull up an exhibit, you go to that section, you go to the bottom. And this gives you the list of all the exhibits that they've included. One place that agencies will often upload exhibits that have to do with their narrative responses are in MOUs or letters of support from different agencies, and so that could be relevant for the partnership section. If they do that, they should reference it in their narrative, though, and they have received that instruction as well. Okay, I feel like I've talked a lot here, and I think that's pretty much about the system and how that works. So if you did it the way I suggested earlier and you opened up a new tab, then you'd just be able to close that tab and you'd be right back in the same spot here. And if you ever want to sort by, a different column, you can do that. I think by default it's sorted alphabetically by the provider organization. And so we don't have a good way. I'd love to see a checkbox or something here where it said, where it kept track of which ones you reviewed. But we don't have that right now. You just kind of have to keep track of where you are as you go down the list. Do make sure at the bottom, if we end up with a number of applications, there could be a page 2. So make sure when you get to the bottom, there could be a couple applications there. Just double check to make sure you don't miss those. Okay, I'm going to go back to our webinar slides here. And Stephanie and Stephen, any questions? I'm going to open up our question box and we'll see where you're at here. Okay, Stephanie, we got your note about your section preference, that you'll do any of them. So thank you. We'll take a look at that and we'll let you know. And Stephen or Stephanie, just let us know any questions. Mark, any questions on the application itself?
No, I was thinking about community partnerships and need.
Perfect. Sounds good. All right, Mark is on community partnerships. All right. I think we're just about done here with our slides. Reminders of next steps. So first, you want to set up an account in the HAP system and email Josh when done. And again, we'll email out instructions to do that. And you're going to want to sign a reviewer conflict of interest form and email, mail, or fax it to Josh. And you want to email Josh your sandwich choice. And then begin reviews. So
basically, just let me know about everything.
He appreciates that.
Yeah.
He loves it. So, but I will be gone next week. So in particular, I don't want to slow anybody down. If you want to get started early on next week, that's perfect. And so Josh will be your contact next week since I'm out of the office. Judy Hartman is another colleague that we work closely with. And so if you know Judy, you can certainly contact her for anything as well. But if it's a system question in particular, it's probably going to be Josh, not so much Judy for that in particular. Okay, and then here is our contact information for Josh and I. Phone number and email. I will admit I'm better at emails. I always feel like I'm running in and out in different places, and I love to have it written as well. I like to have a written record of that I can go back to, and so I do return phone calls, but I find that I just am slower. So I'm sorry in advance if I'm slow returning your call. Drop me an email and say, hey Amber, I really do have this question. I will get back to you, but email either way, totally fine there. And then Josh as well. So. Okay, that is the end of our official presentation here.
And you'll email out today, right? When it's closed, or do you just want us to log in?
We will email out instructions. Mark's question was how to kind of get started today, and whether we'll email something out when the competition closes. And since the competition closes at 4:30, and that's kind of about when our shop closes up here. I don't think we'll need to do anything in particular afterwards. And actually, even for the conflict of interest, as far as reviewing the list, you can also log into the system and see the agency list right there really easily. So maybe that's the way we'll do that conflict of interest form. Other than that, I can't think of anything else that we would need to wait on. So pretty much we'll make sure the system's set up, and at 4:30 it should work, especially if you've already set up your account and let us know that that's done, so that then we can set you up with reviewer status. So I think we'll be ready to go. We will follow up just really soon here, though, with the instructions to set up the account, the conflict of interest form, just a couple other documents with these slides as well, so you'll have all of that stuff at your fingertips. So we'll stay on the line here. Stephanie and Stephen, I think the audio should still be functioning as well if you want to ask any questions that way, or anything else you have for us today. Hopefully this all seems manageable. Again, we just really, really appreciate our reviewers, so thank you.
Thank you. The deadline is August 7th, correct, for us to complete our side of it?
Yes, thank you for asking that. Yeah, August 7th is perfect, that Friday. Now, if something comes up, and it's August 6th, and you're thinking, oh, I just really would appreciate another weekend, that's okay. Just let us know, and Monday really is fine too, because we won't pull the application scores and comments until Monday anyways. But so we have I guess a small built-in cushion there. As long as you just let us know. We get a little concerned when we haven't heard from a reviewer, and and I guess Monday or something, and we still don't have the scores. So, and then what we'll do is we'll pull all the scores together. We'll have some kind of basic information at that final reviewer meeting of kind of how the scores, how the preliminary scores shake out. We'll kind of have that to start with, and what the comments are. So everybody will be able to see other people's comments and scores and all of that, and that's what we'll base our discussion on for that Wednesday. What do you think, Stephanie? Does this sound doable?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. Okay, and Stephen, are you still on the line as well? He might have muted his line as well. Hopefully this sounds doable. Again, just let us know anything that comes up. So, oh, Stephen says he is. Okay, it's on the line. So, okay, very good, Stephen. Thank you for that feedback. All right, well, thank you so much. And if there's nothing else, we'll let you go and have a wonderful weekend.
Great. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thanks. You too.